Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Northampton Township Board of Supervisors meeting. It is Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. The meeting's called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Tonight, keep your thoughts for Chief Corey Comperator, the fire chief in Western Pennsylvania that was needlessly killed by an assassin's bullet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, we have two opportunities for public comment this evening. The first opportunity is for anything that is on the agenda. There's a sign-up sheet in the back. If you would like to speak on any of the agenda items, please put your name on there. I'll recognize you and have you come forward. The second opportunity for public comment is at the end of the meeting. There's a second sign-in sheet for that. Please put your name on there, and at the end of the meeting, I will also recognize you and have you come forward for your public comment. So tonight, our only special presentation is special recognition to the Parks and Recreation Department. Kim?
Yes. The Parks and Recreation Department is very, very dear to my heart. They do so much for our community, for our seniors and our kids and adolescents. Every kind of person in our community is helped by Parks and Rec. So this month is Parks and Rec month, and if Jen Feen would come forward, I would like to read this proclamation. This is Jen. This is our Director of Parks and Rec. So we designate July as Parks and Rec Month. Parks and Rec is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Northampton Township, Bucks County. Parks and Rec promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near the parks. It promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being, and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. Parks and Rec encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, walking trails, a swimming pool, fitness classes for all ages, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. Parks and Rec develops programming and educational activities such as certified preschool, out-of-school time programming, summer camps, youth sports, and environmental education that are critical to childhood development. Parks and Rec also provides playgrounds accessible to children of all abilities where everyone can play. It increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. Parks and Rec are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and it is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. Whereas our Park and Rec areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Rec Month, and Northampton Township recognizes the benefits derived from Parks and Rec resources. Therefore, it's going to be resolved by Northampton Township Board of Supervisors that July is recognized as Park and Rec Month in Northampton Township. And I want to say that our staff at Parks and Rec, from all the camp counselors to the we have preschool teachers,
facility attendants, full-time staff.
There are so many. I have to say that our staff is second to none.
They really are.
And they make this township what it is.
They do.
So with that, I would like to hand you this
Thank
and
you so
say
much.
thank you so much for your wonderful work.
Thank you for all your support. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we get a picture?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you
All right. Oh, yay. We're getting a whole night.
Okay. You can have mine.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Just want to thank you all for your support. Everybody here is so supportive, from the administration, Board of Supervisors, and I, like Kim had said, I definitely don't do this alone. Amazing, amazing staff, and all of you are amazing. Best place to work. Doesn't feel like work. So thank you very much. Thank you.
They are the best. What? Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, I know, 'cause I can.
All right, next up is public comment. We do have one person who'd like to speak at public comment on the agenda item. Hi, Joe. Did you mean to sign up on the agenda item or later, or both?
I did.
Okay.
Joe Johnson, I am a resident. First, let me say that kudos to the Parks and Rec Department. My two sons attended camp many years, and they also went on to be camp counselors, and great experience on both ends of that. So,
Thanks, Joe.
What a great job they do. I just, on the minutes, I did submit a document yesterday from the last month from the Board of Assessments about the in reference to the old police station, and I asked that that be included in the record, and I just would like to know from the secretary if that document is part of the record for the minutes being approved.
As far as I know, it is. Did he submit that, Bob?
Yes, you gave us,
I did give you a copy, and I also emailed it to you.
Assessment website.
Yes. That's part of the permanent record.
Yes.
And that'll appear in the minutes of permanent record. Thank you.
Sure. Next up, consent items, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no objections, I request that the minutes from June 26 be approved by unanimous consent.
Any discussion?
No.
Thank you. Accounts payable?
Yes, I have the bills list for July 10th, 2024. Total all funds, $1,115,946.24. And I have the bills list for July 24th, 2024. Total all funds, $455,096.82.
Thanks, Kim. If there's no corrections to those, to the minutes or the accounts payable, I'll accept a motion to accept the consent items as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. New business. First up is consider a resolution for the Comcast franchise agreement. Paula?
Okay. We have been in contract negotiations with Comcast for this past year. We're trying to renew our existing franchise agreement that expired in January this year. The terms of the agreement continue until a new agreement is executed. Cable franchise agreement authorizes the cable company, in this case Comcast, to occupy the township rights of way in its provision of cable services as defined in the 96 Telecommunications Act. The term cable services does not include internet services that may be provided by Comcast through the same infrastructure. The proposed agreement is similar in form and language to the previous cable franchise agreement, and it's based on a model agreement recently negotiated collectively by municipalities in Montgomery County. Our respective consortiums have often joined together into the past to negotiate these contracts and share in legal costs. Okay, the agreement is for a 10-year term with Comcast and includes a $60,000 contribution towards our technology initiatives and maintenance of our TV studio, the standard 5% franchise fee, subscriber compliant procedures, requirements for clear, concise, and understandable itemized bills, free basic cable services to all township and school district facilities, and an education and government channel on the channel lineup. There's also new language in the agreement requiring Comcast to pay franchise fees on any service not currently allowed that may be permitted in the future by a change in federal or state statutes or regulations. Okay. I recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt this recommendation. I move to adopt Resolution R-24-9, granting a non-exclusive franchise agreement to Comcast, Southeast Pennsylvania, LLC, for the operation and maintenance of a cable system within the public rights of way, and to authorize the township manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the township. Mr. Chairman?
Do we have a
second it.
We have a motion,
I'll
a second. Any further discussion, Paula?
No, I think it's a good move. We're doing it.
Kim?
I don't, but I just want to say thank you to the administration for working so hard on this agreement.
Thank you. Bob?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing for me. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, bids for microsurfacing of our roads. Bob?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The township participated in a joint bidding process with Upper Dublin Township in Montgomery County for microsurfacing as part of the annual road maintenance program. Microsurfacing applications are intended to extend the life of roads that are not yet ready for resurfacing, but have shown enough signs of wear that resurfacing is imminent within the next 5 to 10 years. If I may make a motion.
Please.
I move to authorize participation in the Upper Dublin Township bid for microsurfacing on approximately 3.5 miles of the township road system at the bid price of $6.89 per square yard, and authorize the township manager to execute all required contracts with asphalt paving systems for the 2024 microsurfacing project.
Is there a second?
Okay, I'll second that.
Any discussion? Anything further?
I think, as we've seen recently, anything that's good for the roads is good for all of us.
That's
so.
for sure. Paula?
No.
Kim? Nothing for-
Happy the roads are getting done.
Yes. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Last in the new business, we have a consider approval of a Wall of Honor nominee. Kim?
Yes. The Northampton Township Wall of Honor is an award to recognize individuals who have made lasting contributions to the community and have contributed to the quality of life for the residents of Northampton Township. The objective of the Wall of Honor program is to see that individuals which have made valuable and lasting contributions to the community are recognized. The honoree is selected by a committee based on the following specific criteria. The individual or individuals selected will be honored with the placement of a plaque that will be mounted on the Wall of Honor located in the township's municipal park for all to see and become a part of Northampton Township's history. To be considered for this award, nominees must have been a resident during the time of community service, contribution, or accomplishment, must have participated as a volunteer in activities and/or accomplishments that benefited or have had a positive impact on the lives of residents of Northampton Township, demonstrated outstanding qualities of leadership, community spirit, and would be considered a role model. Each year, the township solicits nominations from the public. The nominations are reviewed by the Wall of Honor Committee, and if a nomination is deemed worthy, the committee makes a recommendation to the board on the recipient of the Wall of Honor award. Now, after careful and thoughtful deliberation, the committee unanimously recommends to the Board of Supervisors that the 2024 honoree for the Community Wall of Honor be Steve Breyer. With that, may I make make a motion?
Please.
I move to confirm the recommendation of the Wall of Honor Committee to award Stephen Breyer as the 2024 recipient of the Northampton Township Wall of Honor Award. The quality of life for the residents of Northampton Township has been enhanced by Mr. Breyer, who through his volunteer services made valuable and lasting contributions that make this community a great place to live, work, and play. His life shall be celebrated and honored forever. And I have to say that this was an excellent choice. Steve Breyer works tirelessly. Some of his contributions from 2001 to 2013, he was an executive board member of the Council Rock Northampton Baseball. He coached baseball from 2000 to 2009. He was a founding board member of the Miracle League of Northampton Township from 2009 to 2015. He's an active member on Park and Rec Board 2012 till present. He, from 2012 to 2013, a board member of the Jack King Calendar Foundation, helping to raise money and identify local professionals to donate services to renovate the Civic Center Shack. And from 2016 to present, he is the chair of the Northampton Day Festival Board. Well-deserved. We will be doing this presentation on August 1st, right before the concert in the park, and it should be a really beautiful ceremony. If you've never been to one of these Wall of Honor ceremonies, it's beautiful. Last year, we honored Ed Engel posthumously, and the most beautiful thing was that Ed Engel's grandson got to pull the cover off his picture in the park, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. Also, past recipients are Pete Palestina and George Lang. So that's all I have.
So that's the motion?
That's the motion. Sorry.
Is there a second?
I know.
Second.
Sorry.
Is there a second? So any further discussion?
No.
Yeah, Steve is a great guy. I remember before I came on board here, he was very friendly and welcoming to me, and he helped my mother. He drove around the golf court and took her to and fro different places, and I always think of him. He's very, very generous guy, good guy.
Nice.
Bob?
I think it's great that we recognize routinely members of the community who are as important, if not more important, than anyone who's ever sat up on the dais here and who really make the township what it is. So I'm just pleased that that program exists and continues.
That's true. I think Steve's an excellent choice. He's a community guy. Everything he does is for the community from his heart, and he does work tirelessly. He is very effective at getting things done, and he has a lot of energy, and I hope he keeps focusing that energy on our community and the township. So congratulations to Steve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is liaison reports. Just have a couple things to report real quick. I didn't mention earlier, Mr. Moore, Barry Moore, is out tonight, not able to make the meeting. He sends his apologies. And Joe Pizzo is also out tonight and sends his apologies. And Ken Ferris is stepping in for Joe this evening. So welcome and thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Kim.
Okay, yeah. The Senior Center. July continues to be a very busy month at the Senior Center. It's a great time to check out and see what over 900 members do there. So if you're over age 55 or better, it's a perfect time to stop by and take a tour. The opportunities are endless for socialization, participation in activities, educational programs, parties, day trips, and fun. The center provides a wonderful support system to keep you active vital, and independent. It's a terrific way to help maintain your general well-being. You can visit the center Monday through Friday, 9 to 3:30, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 8, for a tour or see what lies behind the doors at 165 Township Road, directly across the street from the library. Parks and Rec. So many exciting things are happening in the Parks and Rec Department. On Thursday, July 18th, the Parks and Rec Department was spotlighted by the Pennsylvania Parks and Rec Society for Parks and Rec Professionals Day. Preschool teachers, faculty, facility attendants, camp counselors, park maintenance, and full-time staff gathered for a brief ceremony before the concert. Bill Wirt, Adam Selisker, and myself, as well as members of the Park and Rec Board and the Northampton Township Fire Department, were there to support and celebrate the department. Summer is still going strong in Parks and Rec. Our summer concerts on Thursday evenings are even more popular than ever, with food trucks and popular bands. There are only 2 more chances to come out and join us. You don't want to miss our Thursday nights. Now, tomorrow night is Midlife Crisis, playing 70s, 80s, and 90s classic rock. And then on August 1st, the fabulous Grease Band, topping off the series with their highly entertaining and energetic delivery of the greatest dance songs. Bring your family and friends. Looking forward to the fall, the new brochure will hit residents' mailboxes at the end of August. We're excited about the Friends TV show Murder Mystery Night, and residents can look forward to trips to Broadway's Wicked and Juliet, Folio Winery, and Winterthur. So for more information about our programs and events, contact the administration, the Parks and Rec website at www.northamptonrec.com. And again, congratulations to our Parks and Rec department. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Just on the Parks and Rec, it was a really fun night, and I just wanted to say, I didn't say it while Jen was here, that group of people are the most passionate employees about making sure they deliver fun. They're the fun department. They really are. They really are.
I agree with that.
That is.
Good people.
Paula?
Very good people.
On that note, Paula,
Yes.
they're the fun department.
Okay, I only have a short library board liaison report. The strategic plan update for the library director, library board, and committee members are advancing our strategic plan to shape the future library services for all of us in the community. Okay, the library board members and staff are excited and very engaged in making the Free Library of Northampton Township a destination library, enhancing the profile of the whole township of Northampton. And the library board aims to present recommendations and proposals to us, the Board of Supervisors, for both priorities as the September Board of Supervisors meeting for consideration and inclusion in the 2025 budget, library budget preparations. And that's all I have today.
All right, thank you, Paula. Bob?
Thank you. No preamble about the fun department.
Library is fun, too. This is the danger of that.
In our own way. 2 updates for the authority tonight, one positive, one certainly not. The first, the positive, the authority has completed the rehabilitation and lining of nearly 200 manholes in the Southampton Basin following the main lining project, and they placed a significant emphasis on continued reinvestment in the authority's infrastructure. So that's an update on something I'd mentioned a few months ago. Onto the negative. This directly affects the authority, certainly. This is a report about polyfluoroalkyl substances, otherwise known as PFAS, as the acronym. The Department of Defense, more specifically the United States Navy, as many people know, at the base in Warminster a number of years ago, used these substances as, I understand it to be a fire retardant or suppressant in the matter of testing with intent firefighting exercises, and in the subsequent years, those toxic chemicals have now infected and poisoned our water table. This is not news to many of the residents, specifically those most impacted as having been on the well water system, specifically looking at a number of neighborhoods effectively between Bustleton and 2nd Street Pike along Bristol Road. This has been known for a number of years, and at this juncture, the authority is in negotiations with the Navy, going back and forth, trying to determine how best to remediate. And when I say remediate, at this point, the plan is to get well water customers onto public water. The problem itself, I don't think, can be remediated. It's in the water table. So I'm disappointed to report that the federal government, by way of the Navy, is now trying to scale back on what was part of the initial negotiations in terms of the area to initially be connected to public water. There's been no finality to this yet, but I would note that effectively the Navy has said now at this juncture they're looking to, and I do not want to be held to specific figures, but approximations, about $6 million focused on Upland Drive, Penland Road, 2nd Street Pike, Fair Hill Drive, and Charlotte Drive, which really is a 20 to 25% fraction of the area that is either known to be above the detection levels or the permissible levels of these poisons, or areas that have not yet been tested. It is loosely approximated that the amount proposed to be paid at this juncture by the United States government is woefully inadequate. It's anticipated we could be well north of 30 to 35, $40 million needed to connect those who are in need of clean water, our residents, to public water because of the federal government's malfeasance. And knowing I would be reporting on this tonight, I took the liberty of checking some public statistics. The Department of Defense 2024 fiscal year budget is $2.13 trillion with a T. The federal government, in its budget in 2023, spent $33 million in South Carolina to house monkeys to later be shipped for research by the NIH. Spent $6 million to boost tourism in Egypt. I could do this report all night, I won't, but sent $38 million, enough to, and when I again say remediate, to connect our residents to public water. $38 million of COVID money was sent to dead people, not all of which was recovered. The Department of Defense itself destroyed $89 million worth of engines, jet engines improperly stored outside, and $68 million worth of tank tracks stored outside and destroyed. And they can't find money, apparently, to fix the problems they've caused for our residents by poisoning our water. It's an absolute and utter disgrace. This board in many ways has its hands tied, but if you can't tell from my general demeanor, it is infuriating. And this was discussed with the board in session. It can be assured that this board will do anything in its power to make sure that this is not swept under the rug. We will continue to work with the authority, and anyone who has any issues with this is why we have congressmen. Contact our congressman, Brian Fitzpatrick. These are his constituents being poisoned. They do not have clean water, and the federal government doesn't want to clean it up. Mr. Chairman, I think it's just an absolute disgrace. I'm infuriated on behalf of our citizens. This has been known for years. Our authority proactively took wells offline 8 years ago, knowing that this could happen, to protect its citizens, but we don't have $30 million to fix their mess. And that's where we stand today. This board will be in contact with anyone and everyone who can possibly assist in this matter to put as much pressure on the federal government as is possible to fix their mess. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bob. Barry's not here tonight, but for my report, I want to add a little bit on to that. When we had to take the wells offline in Northampton Township, is it 3 or 4 wells? 3 or 4 wells. You might think to yourself, oh, this is terrible for those poor folks that live along Bristol Road that have to get hooked up and have their well water. Taking 4 wells offline affects every resident in this township. It affects every property owner, it affects every taxpayer, and it affects every ratepayer. So it's not just the folks that live on Bristol Road that are affected, or around Bristol Road. It's everybody, so we should be aware of that. I agree with Mr. Salzer. This board is committed to do everything it can to support our residents and get them clean water. Everybody deserves clean water, and everybody deserves clean air. And I think we're gonna do that. We are going to talk to the congressman, hopefully by the end of this week in person. When I say in person, at least by phone. And we plan on really leaning hard on the Navy to get this done. The Water Authority, they're working on their side, trying to do what they can to get this fixed, but everybody should know that we're in their corner for this, and we're going to really push as hard as we can to get that taken care of. You also know that the wheels of the federal government do not move quickly. And so we'll probably be talking about this for a while, but as long as there's progress, that's good. I do have a couple other things. Thank you for that introduction, and I'm glad I was able to add on to it. On a little bit lighter of a note, the township did a food drive. Part of that food drive, as some of you may have seen, was Fill the Fire Truck, but it was really all departments, and they had a very successful food drive. They delivered the food today to Beth Anna, who also works with a local church and food bank, and I'm happy to report that we sent truckloads of food to Beth Anna today. It was very, very exciting. It's nice. It was nice that we needed more people to help us carry the food. Just a couple of call-outs, and I always hate calling out names, but Melissa Kenyon from the township, Stacy Schwengels, Amanda Goodwin, they're the kind of folks that were coordinating it, but there was a group effort today. The Public Works Department and the Fire Department made the delivery down there. So anytime you see that we're running a food drive, just a few cans of anything that's not perishable really does go a long way. I said earlier, everybody deserves clean air, and everybody deserves clean water, and everybody deserves to eat. So it was good that we were able to do that. Next up, September 14th, which will be a Saturday in September, we will have a grand reopening and dedication of both fire stations. Times to be determined, but it looking like around probably 10 to 2. It will be an open house for the community, so anybody that would like to come by, come in, have a tour, walk through the new stations, that would be the day to do that. Although I must say that we've had a fair amount of pop-in visitors, residents just coming by and they see the doors open, and we're always happy to walk anybody through. So put that on your calendar. That should be a fun day. And I don't think I have anything else. Next up is our manager's report.
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bob. Assistant manager's report, Bill.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Solicitor's report, Ken.
There's no solicitor's report for this evening, Mr. Chairman, but I would note for the minutes that an executive session was held before tonight's meeting to discuss matters involving litigation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Engineers?
No report tonight, thanks.
No report tonight, Amanda? Okay, and for public comment, I believe, Joe, you'd like to come back up? If you'd like to sit, Joe, if that's easier, feel free. I just give it to me. Okay, thank you.
Joe Johnston, I am a resident. I was here last month when we were talking about the old police station and the transfer of ownership over to the redevelopment authority, which was approved at that last meeting. And I had submitted a document from the Bucks County Board of Assessments saying that the property value was $4,115,000. Okay, and I knew that number was high, and everybody knew that number was high, but everybody seemed shocked when I read that number. Nobody had an explanation as to why it was there. So, anyhow, I wanted to know more about what was going on. So under Freedom of Information Act, I received a copy of the appraisal for the property, the old police station. And on page 19, I'll read this paragraph. It says the total real estate taxes on the property are estimated to be $55,340 in the year 23-24. The current assessment for the existing property is equivalent to the assessed market value of $4,115,000 at a price at $550 for square foot, based on the STB ratio of 7.3 for Bucks County. A tax assessment appeal is recommended based on my as-is value conclusion. The reader is advised that Bucks County does not reassess existing properties unless the building renovation permit is issued. So the number was here, and it was in the appraisal, but yet no one heard. Everybody heard it for the first time when I said it last month. So, that to me was concerning. Second of all, it says here that you can't appeal your taxes unless you have a permit. Well, that's true if the building's going to be under construction, because you're going to be changing the use. But anybody can appeal their taxes at any time. So Northampton could appeal those taxes and say it's a vacant building, but if the Board of Assessment, senses that this building is going to be for sale or the use is going to change, they'll just deny it. So I get that. But the number's here, and it's recorded in the appraisal. So it's based on STEB ratio. Well, I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. STP's primary, it's the State Tax Equalization Board. The STB primary function is to determine the aggregate market value of taxable real property in each political subdivision and school district throughout Pennsylvania. The market values are certified annually to the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the respective school districts on or before July 1st of each year. These market values are used in a legislative formula that determines the distribution of state subsidies to each school district. Okay, so that would explain the high value, that high number. So I don't know who controls that. If it's our school district, kudos for them for trying to get more money out of the state. And then I looked at the appraisal, and on page 16 it says the purpose. The purpose of this appraisal report is to estimate the as-is market value of the subject's fee, simple interest as of the current date, and prospective market value for the site as if vacant, assuming that a zoning change to C2 commercial district with village overlay will be permitted by the township supervisors for a new 5,030 square foot one-story building. So what's interesting about that is there was never any mention that there's already a deal in the works. And there could be more based on what happens at the redevelopment authority. But there's one already in the works. And the appraisal and the orders for the appraiser was to assume that that building is going to go in and to value it. So I think that was interesting information to find out. Okay, the appraisal goes on to say that, Bucks County, Northampton especially, checks all the boxes for demographics, income, location. The location of the building is good because in the village overlay district, we have LERTA program, so it checks all the boxes for that. All right, so then we get to what are the numbers, okay? So this is, again, the old police station, 50 Township Road. It's 1.3 acres with a total lot size of 57,935 square foot, with a maximum permitted coverage of 20% with a C2 zoning alone. Now, the village overlay may allow for more. I didn't get that deep into it. So we're just going to go with the 20%. So as the maximum buildable on that lot. So as is, the building's worth, according to the appraiser, has a valuation of $880,000, and that is the as-is market value, meaning somebody buys the building and renovates it, okay? And that's $120 a square foot. Then he goes on and he uses his comps, which, by the way, I don't I'm not an appraiser, but the state, when it's doing comps, it uses the school district. So you start in the school district, and I've talked to other professionals in the real estate, and they said appraisals always start within the school district because now you're looking apples to apples when it comes to taxes and rates. And then, to find exact comps, you most likely will go outside of that district to do it. Okay? So the appraisal only gives one appraisal in Council Rock District. And all the other ones are Lower Bucks County or somewhere in Montgomery County. So I find it hard to believe there was nothing north of us that could be included. So anyway, he appraises the building, the proposed building, the 5,000 square foot building, at $830,000. And he calls that vacant and approved for redevelopment. And then he goes on and says, a prospective market value of a vacant redevelopment site, which means the township would tear the building down, is $745,000. So that number, so the high number is for the existing building, and that's the one he recommends that we take, and that's the one that was approved. So the $880,000 is for the existing building. So so that means, let's see, blah, blah, blah. So he's valuing the building. Once you tear the building down, then the property is worth $745,000. So that means he values the building at $135,000. And that's a 7,500 square foot building with a basement. And he describes it as in average to good working order with a life, has additional life expectancy. And that building, let's face it, if it's maintained, it'll last another 300 years, okay, with that type of construction, okay? But the Board of Assessment, so he does $750,000 for the lot, $135,000 for the building. But the Board of Assessment has the land at $22,000 and the building at $277,000. Okay, so that's where you get that $4 million. Okay, but the building is worth more than the land. I mean, if you look at everybody's assessment, it's always the building that's worth more. He has it opposite, which, again, I'm not an assessor, but to me, it's a red flag that at least is worthy of further investigation. So now, I mentioned that it has 20% capacity for building coverage. Okay. Now, for the vacant building of $500,000, I'll go back to the numbers, $830,000. That's $165 per square foot. So if you take that $165 per square foot and you times it by 11,586, which is 20% building coverage, comes to $1,911,000. Okay, far cry from 880. And if you were to tear it down and build another building the same size, it would be $1,208,000. Okay, the building proposed $830,000, and if you were going to tear down, build a smaller building, according to his record, the sale value would be $412,000. Now, there's adjustments for that because the more property you buy, the less you're going to pay for it, and the less property you buy, sometimes the more you pay for it when it comes to retail. And
do you think you could just kind of summarize your conclusion?
Sure. So there was another property, which I gave you a picture of, which was the old PNC building. Okay, it even looks like a building. I mean, from a distance, it looks like the same building. Okay, that building was purchased for $640,000. It's only 4,000 square feet, and it has a building coverage on the land of 6.8%. $640,000. Okay, if you do the math, it comes out to 157, close to his appraised value. Okay, so and there's another property that just came on the market after that's even higher. So if he did the appraisal again, the numbers would come back higher. So my point is this, okay, the property's worth money, a lot of money. It's worth money to a guy who wants to combine it with an existing lot, and it's worth money as a build-alone lot. Even could get even higher amount. And the only way you're going to put it out to proposals, for bid proposals from developers through the Redevelopment Authority. Now, the Redevelopment Authority is generally for blighted properties and properties that are unsellable. This hasn't been on the public market yet. and it should be placed on the public market first. And the number should be $1,200,000, and leave it up there for a while and see if you get a bite. Okay? It's a lot of money to leave on the table. Okay? If you can't sell it privately, then send it to the redevelopment authority, because the redevelopment authority not only can they'll do their thing, okay, but they can also help with, possibly with grants and even tax rebates for developing that property. Okay? So it would make it even cheaper for the purchaser to do that, even though he'll pay, whatever our price is. So, there's a lot of areas here. I think it needs a second look, and I wrote that to the township manager, that this needs a second look before you go to the redevelopment authority. There's a lot of variables here. I'm not questioning the appraisal job. I mean, he did, I questioned a few things, but I think for the most part, that is a good appraisal. But I think we're missing out by not putting it on the private market. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for the effort that you put in on that. We do appreciate your point of view. We have no other public comment tonight. Having no other business, the meeting is adjourned.